is in Israel. Another story we've been covering over the past 3 days, and that was Israel's launch of missiles into Iran and Iran retaliating. Then again tonight, we saw more missiles launched out of Iran into this part of central Israel. This is the first time that we've actually been able to get a live picture of the debris in central Israel, I am told, after those missiles came in from Iran. Steve Ganyard, I'm going to bring you in on this. Now I'm going to ask you to put on your former State Department role and talk. We were going from the parade here in our nation's capital and talking about your military career. Now we're going to talk about what's happening in the Middle East and how things have escalated between Israel and Iran. Don't know what kind of intel you're getting through the sources you follow, but we believe this is one of the missiles that was able to break through the Iron Dome. Am I right? And hit a building here. We see the dogs out, truly, right now at this moment, trying to find survivors.
Yeah, Kara, it looks like there were about 4 impacts at Tel Aviv tonight. No missile defense system is going to be perfect, especially when you have these barrages coming in from Iran. So still about a 90% success rate in bringing down these Iranian missiles. But tonight, Kara, the gloves came off. The Israelis told the Iranians that if you continue to target civilian areas, we are going to go after your infrastructure. It's escalated beyond that. An Israeli official has told the U.S. press that the Ayatollah is no longer off limits. So we see that the Israelis have hit a gas processing station within Iran tonight. We see that they have hit an oil depot just outside of Tehran, massive fires burning there. And now they're saying that leadership is fair game. Up to now, the Israelis have only been going after the leadership of the military and the senior ranks of the nuclear scientists. So tonight what we're seeing is the gloves coming off. Why should this concern the rest of the world? Because it's a very slippery slope to moving on down to taking out all of the Iranian oil export capacity, which would take a significant amount of oil, maybe 2 million barrels a day, off the market. At some point, the regime in Iran could get desperate enough that they do something like try to close the Strait of Hormuz. If that happens, 20% of the world's consumption on a daily basis gets taken off the market. If they do anything like send out their speedboats, put mines in the water, so hasn't happened yet. Everything that we saw the Israelis hit today was hitting the infrastructure for domestic consumption. So the gas field they hit was for domestic consumption. The tanks that they hit outside of Tehran, that's all domestic consumption. But it's just a couple steps away from an escalation that the world may feel.
So let's just back up. Let's go back years. And the United States trying to deal with Iran diplomatically. And these nuclear facilities have always been a concern on behalf of the United States and on behalf of Israel. A lot of back and forth. There were sanctions put in place. There were talks of negotiations, peace deals. I'm just putting it all in very short form here over many, many years. Now, where we are at this moment, it's different. It's different this time around. Trump is not saying anything. President Trump is not saying anything. We don't know if at all the U.S. was somehow involved. We know that Trump has made it very clear that the United States is going to back Israel. But as we look at these pictures and we see cadaver dogs trying to find survivors, we are seeing destruction here. We're not just seeing the Iron Dome intercepting missiles coming from Iran and hearing the IDF talk about, we've taken out key members of the Revolutionary Guard. Now we're taking out fuel and oil. I mean, this is different this time around. What what's happening here? Is it President Trump? Is it Israel? Is it what's going on with Hamas in Gaza, that Israel has just had enough of Iran supporting terrorists around the region? What's your sense of how we got to this point after so many years of just talk and no action?
Kira,
and that's it's a long question.
I get the gist, though. I get the gist. The key here is that Israel has known for decades that Iran has an aspiration to create nuclear weapons, and they publicly, consistently say that their goal is to wipe the state of Israel off the face of the earth. So the Israelis know they have an existential threat. They've known for a long time, and they've never been able to say, well, the U.S. will come save us. So they've been working for years, literally for years, to figure out how would they take out Iranian nuclear infrastructure by themselves. Now, remember, they don't have bombers, so many of the processing plants are buried deep underground in different parts of Iran. You need bombers that only the United States has to drop the kind of ordnance that gets down layers, hundreds of feet underground to get at those processing plants. So the Israelis are having to be a little more creative. They have ways to get down deep into the earth, but they're having to be a little more creative at this point, and they're being very deliberate in what they're doing.
Let's talk about how they brought the drones over enemy territory and built that secret base inside Iran and unleashed those drones in that initial attack.
Mossad owns the Iranians right now. You think about what the Mossad has done in terms of intelligence to be able to target all 9 of the most senior Iranian military officials and all of the senior scientists who were working on their nuclear weapons program and take them out within the first minutes. We saw those pictures. It was individual rooms that they were able to target. Now think about the human intelligence that was required to say, this general lives in this building, on this floor, and this is their apartment. To be able to do that is just extraordinary, and it has to shake the Iranians, knowing that the Israelis are able to operate so freely inside of Iran. And to your point, they were able to create these bases where they had drones that helped take out some of the air defense systems around Tehran before Israeli jets were even starting their first attack routes. So when you're living in the enemy's territory, and this is a bit different from what Ukraine did. Ukraine was very the initiative there to be able to take these trucks in and have the drones pop off. These are actual Israeli intelligence operatives inside bad guy territory working with impunity to start the raids that we have seen that have led to what's going on tonight.
And while we look at these live pictures where they are searching survivors right now, where Iran did hit targets inside Israel, let's take it to the White House. Our senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang. Selena, it wouldn't have been clearly appropriate for the president to mention anything about what's happening here in the place that he was, celebrating the Army's 250-year celebration there on the parade route. But we haven't heard from him. We haven't heard from him when the initial attack happened. We didn't hear anything yesterday. And so far, we haven't heard anything out of the White House today.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time we've seen the president on camera since Thursday. And the president, Thursday morning, he gave a call to a flurry of reporters and really seemed to shift his tone on this. I had actually asked the president about imminent Israeli strikes shortly before they happened. And at the time, the president was warning Israel not to do this, saying that this would derail those ongoing U.S.-Iranian nuclear negotiations, making it very clear that he wanted a diplomatic solution. And in fact, the scheduled meeting, Kira, between U.S. and Iranian officials for another round of nuclear talks has actually been canceled. That was scheduled actually for tomorrow in Oman, so that is no longer happening. But the president, since then on Thursday, he had changed his tune, calling those initial Israeli strikes excellent, saying that Iran got hit hard. They had a chance to make a deal. They didn't take it. But to your point, we haven't heard from the president in several days since that initial wave of strikes. But U.S. officials have confirmed that the president has made calls to several world leaders, including to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. And while the U.S. did not get itself involved militarily in that initial wave of attacks. The U.S. has been helping Israel to defend itself, helping to shoot down those missiles, again, helping to defend a U.S. ally, but still huge questions here about what this all means moving forward. And I just want to point out one notable call that the president had, which is with Russia's Vladimir Putin. The president posted on social media just hours before that military parade began that he and Putin spoke to each other, that Putin wished him a happy birthday. They also spoke about the conflict in the Middle East. And according to Russian state media, Putin offered to mediate the conflict between Israel and Iran.
So